Thank you, judges. Thank you for your patience and attention. We are about to start judging the wedding category. And with us on this judging panel, we're going to have Julie Ewing, Robin Campbell, Mark Rosetto, Paul Cincotta, Chris Thomas, Sarah McKenna, Linda Colson, Tony Holden, and Chris Anderson. So 2 Chris's is going to keep me on my toes. Thank you. This is the wedding category, and we have a little bit of information here for you. This category is for wedding photography that represents industry practice, including, but not limited to, creative posing, photojournalism, post-production, storytelling, and image presentation. The wedding category will be judged in 2 sections, wedding open and wedding single capture. Entries into this category must be commissioned and captured during the client's real wedding or civil union. The only exception is to accommodate cultural differences where the wedding runs over consecutive days. So the first category we're judging is the open section, and entries may use all post-production techniques, including the use of multiple images or elements to produce the entry. If several photographic elements are used, all elements must have been taken at the same wedding or civil union, with the exception of borders and textures. When we get to the single capture entry, the team out the back will let me know, and I'll read out that category as we come to it in the judging. So first print, please. Thank you. We have an average score of 77. And Chris Anderson would like to challenge. He's on 83. You've got a 78, 77, 75, 74.
It's a tough spot being the first print in a category. When this flipped around, the impact was instant. The shape is unique. The matting is unique. The choice of having a black core in the mat accentuated the print. Getting up to it, the design and composition of this is beautiful, and I love the framing. I love the way that it looks. There's a sense of because of the choice of I saw those as curtains on a stage, and she's standing on a stage, so there was a sense of theater and excitement about it that I thought was interesting and unique. I thought it was an innovative print with excellent design. I'd love to hear everyone else's opinion. For me, this sits really solidly in the silver range.
Thank you very much. Julie, you're on the lower end on 74.
No, I totally agree. When it turned around, the impact was definitely there. Unfortunately, when I got up to have a look at it close, I was let down by the exposure and the bride, who's the central subject to this image. She's very grainy, and I think the lighting, it's been very much let down by lighting and printing technique afterwards.
Thank you. Linda, a comment from you on 78?
I was the same as Chris initially. When I first turned around, I was really drawn into the shape and the graphical nature of the image. But as was also said, when I went back up into it, I saw some issues in the skin tone, in that graininess. And for me, when you've got such a graphical image, I want all those details to be spot on and perfect, and that's what was lacking for me. But I did see it as being quite, a professional practice standard.
Thank you. Chris, back to you.
Yep, those are excellent comments. I think the grain on the skin tone is probably what kept me from going higher. So I think if that had been addressed, then I probably would have had a score in the silver distinction range. for what I'm taking that into account, I still see this as a print with a lot of impact, and a print that will really happily live on a client's wall. And when you walk in, you're going to look at this, and it's going to be quite a feature. So I'd love you guys to come and join me on silver.
Thank you. Chris's score of 83 is locked in. The current average is 77. Judges, please rescore now. Thank you. And it does go up by 1 point. It goes to 78. Thank you. Excellent feedback for the entrant. And could we have the next print, please? And while the judges are looking at this next photo, just for the audience information, every print and every point is hard earned. Quite often at the end of the categories, when they judge the photographer of the year, the top scoring 3 portfolios do get assessed to decide who's the winner of each category. Quite often there can only be 1 point separating them, so for a photograph to be discussed and get an extra point can be valuable to the entrant. Thank you. We have an average score of 82, silver award. And Chris Thomas, could you give us a comment, please, for the entrant?
Yeah, spun around. I love the graphical, obvious graphical nature of the print. It's printed beautifully. There's a lot of interaction between the couple. And what I did enjoy when I got right up close was the detail in the wedding dress is still all there, despite the couple themselves being quite small in the frame, but overall, beautiful image.
Lovely. Thank you very much. Next print, please. Thank you, judges. By majority, we have a score of 79. And Julie would like to challenge. Julie's on 88. We love our judges. You're using the score range very effectively. I like that. We've got an 83, 78, 78, and a 75. So we're going to hear from Julie first, then we'll hear from Linda.
I really think, judges, we need to relook at this and give this some more points here. It was quirky. I had sniggers all round. To me, it's unique and a totally different approach. I'm not exactly sure why, but I still really enjoyed it, and just the expressions on everyone, and you can try and pick the couples in there. It does give you the answers, but it was unique. It's well executed. It's a sort of a flatter palette, but the whole thing is, and so it just gives it this interesting. I'm not very good with the homages to whoever, but I feel like it is to something, and I just find this really well executed, great thought within it, and I do believe this is worthy of a silver, if not a silver with distinction. So I ask my learned judges to reconsider or give me your reasons why not.
Thank you. Linda on 75.
I scored this in the standard professional practice range. I see the lighting of each of the portraits, the individual portraits, and I'm not feeling exactly what the photographer has brought extra to the image that was bringing me up into that silver range. For me, the lighting is as I said, it is quite flat, which is not, in my opinion, adding to this image, and that's why I scored it in the standard professional range. I feel like this is good standard work.
Thank you. Tony on 83.
I liked it. The reason that it draws you in is because it makes you think. And I think that any image that you get up there, and you're right, Julie, we did snigger, we had a laugh because it's a quirky image. I scored at 83. I think it's deserved of a silver award.
Thank you. Chris Anderson.
This is such an excellent concept, which I really enjoyed, and I think I fell in love with the concept immediately. And I probably went up and did the puzzle solving like people did, and who's matched with who. I kind of got to the point of looking at individual images though, and this is about photographic prints, and there were some things that for me let it down. Linda raised some lighting issues before. The lighting on who I believe is the groom in the top right really kind of lost his jacket. He's not lit to the same extent as the gentleman next to him. There were kind of inconsistencies in the lighting that I thought once you went in and looked at the photographic elements, let it down. So to me, I'm hard pressed to get it up into out of professional practice, but I'm listening.
Thank you. And back to you, Julie.
I think what I also really enjoy is that it's raw. It's in this world of self-indulgent selfies where everyone tries to look glamorous and puts all these additional filters over, and even wedding photography, we always try and make the bride and groom look, stunning. This is just very raw and real. I feel like it's a small wedding. They've just got together. They've thought, let's have some fun, and they've shown a new, unique way of showing the people who are involved. So I just find that naturalness, and we're not trying to make ourselves look what we're not. This is just us and how we are, and we had a great day. So I think they're giving a really good impression in their interpretation to put this forward.
Thank you. Julie's score of 88 is locked in. The current majority score is 79. Judges, please rescore now. Thank you. And we have a silver award, 82. Well done, team. Thank you. Next print, please. Thank you. We have an average score of 77. Chris Thomas, could you give us a comment, please?
I scored it in the higher echelons of standard professional practice, which I believe it firmly sits. It's well executed shot of a bride. For my personal liking, the crop just a little bit too tight on the bottom end. Otherwise, a well done image that they're absolutely going to love.
Thank you. Any comments about the lighting?
No, it's lit with off-camera flash. I'm again, I think it sits firmly in the personal practice range. I'm quite happy with it.
Okay, cool. Thank you very much. Next print, please. Thank you. We have an average score of 78. Thank you. We've got a range of scores, 82, 81, 78, 76, 73. So there's just one judge that can challenge. It's to the lower end. And so, no, we're getting a head shake. So we'll finalise the score at 78. And Chris, you wanted to make a comment, please?
Yep, just one thing for the photographer. There's some cloning issues on the right side of the image around where the frame's been. It appears like the frame's been duplicated. That is a little distracting, which I thought detracted from it a little bit.
Thank you. And Linda, did you have a comment to add for the photographer?
The main comment that I have was in relation to the focus on the little girl with the balloon in front of her. They're on the same plane. There's glass in front of both of them, but yet she's quite distinctly out of focus in comparison to the other figure. And I think that's, a little bit of technique which could be finessed in that image, and making that work together where it feels like it's actually been photographed together would make a big difference.
Lovely. Thank you very much. And we're just going to start rotating our judges. So Paul is going to come in for Chris. Thank you very much. And next print, please. Thank you. We have an average score of 76. Chris Thomas is on 82 and would like to challenge. Chris, you're working with a 78, 75 and 272s.
I would ask everyone to come into silver. I love the gritty nature of the photograph. Bride on the wedding day isn't happy. If anyone that shoots weddings knows, most brides aren't 100% happy the entire time. She's got a bit of angst there. There's some raw emotion. It's showing sort of every sort of aspect to her on the entire day. I'm loving the 5 minutes out popping the diary on the bottom corner, so when she finally thinks the camera's not on her, and then the taken into the next dimension with this. I'm not using the right adjective, but this pop art or this sort of cartoonesque type of presentation. So I think it's just a wonderful collection of emotions throughout the wedding day for this particular bride, and I'm definitely, for its uniqueness, asking everyone to come up firmly into a silver.
Paul on 72.
I enjoyed the humour of the images and the different facades of all the emotions of that happiness. I'm confused by this lower image in the left-hand corner, just with the darkness in there and the lighting on that. So for me, just from a professional practice, the lighting needs to be a major consideration in any photograph that we make. So for me, it just wasn't up there.
Thank you. Julie, on 75?
Yeah, no, I very much enjoyed what was put here in the Andy Warhol type of effect. The name at the top and the font just going in a backward slant doesn't move forward with her expressions. I don't know. That I found incongruous and found that difficult to work with. I love the happiness at the bottom in the purple. It all works well. Your comment on the bottom left-hand image, I really enjoyed everything that is within it, and I have put it in solid professional practice. Lose the name at the top. I don't think it's required, and maybe work on the bottom left-hand image, or substitute it with something else as joyous but better lit, and continue with this project, because it's really interesting. It's got us all talking. So
Thank you. Back to you, Chris.
You're right. It's got us all talking. Initially, I think you're right. Whether the name not necessarily required. However, I think it does offset the happiness down the bottom quite well. I actually do enjoy the fact that it's slanting backwards, because it does sort of jut out and does make you think twice, and it starts to create all these stories. The bottom left image, I'm normally the absolute normally hammer lighting that's not perfect, but in this instance, I think it does transcend that, and just the fact that it's got so much to tell, I'm quite happy to overlook that. So please definitely bring this into a silver.
Thank you. Chris's score is locked in at 82. The current average is 76. Judges, please rescore now. And the print does go to 78. Thank you, judges. Great conversation. Thank you. Next print, please. Thank you. We have an average score of 80, silver award. Tony Holden, a comment for the entrant.
It's a great capture of the groom on his big day. The only issue I have is it's a little bit dark in the bottom, towards the bottom right. That would be my only take, but I think it's been captured quite nicely.
Thank you very much. Next print, please. Thank you. We have an average score of 77. Linda would like to challenge. Linda's on 82. You've got a 78, 77, 73, 74.
Thank you. When this image turned around, it straight away struck me, because there's this couple in the middle of the image, and it's very graphical in nature. They're surrounded by shapes, and they're coming in towards the centre of the image, all pointing at the couple. And for an image that's a silhouette of this couple, I feel like it was just really well executed. I think that this is an image that could be, you know, at the end of their ceremony, at the end of their party, whatever it is that they're, wherever they're at on the stage of their day. This is a moment where they are standing there together on their own and everyone else is left. And I just found this image really beautiful, and it really drew me in to what was going on with the couple. And I feel like it's really beautifully executed. And I think the photographer deserves a silver for this image. I'd love to hear what everyone else has to say.
Thank you. We're going to hear from Chris Thomas on 73.
Again, a nice graphical representation of the couple on the wedding day. Solid professional practice. The thing that didn't bring it up any further for me, and I know it's an intentional thing because if it's almost a silhouette, but that's probably the thing. It's almost a silhouette. There's loads of solid black in there. It just wasn't at award standard for me.
Thank you. Julie, you're on 78.
Yeah, I've given this high professional standard because I think it was well seen and well executed. I did just find it overall too busy, and that really bright highlight of the triangle of light above their heads, I just keep going to that. So I think the reflection of it is far more appealing with its softness. So perhaps if the highlights are pulled down, but I believe it to be of high professional standard. I just have not awarded it a silver.
Thank you. Back to you, Linda.
So I think that triangle of light is actually what I think is adding to the image. And to me, it's really bringing your eye straight into the couple, and it's making you look there rather than look at, yes, it is quite a busy background. However, that's where they are as far as their ceremony, I would imagine, is taking place. But that triangle of light is what really draws my eye straight to them, and has attracted me to, look further and look into this image and this couple's moment deeper. And I really believe it deserves a silver simply for what the photographer has seen in the image and how they have crafted and put this towards us.
Thank you. Linda's score of 82 is locked in. The current average is 77. Judges, please rescore now. And it gets one more point to 78. Well, good conversation, judges. Thank you. Next print, please. Thank you. We have an average score of 73. And there's quite a range of scores. No one's going to challenge? No? Yes? No? You have... Okay. So, if you want to challenge, you have to shoot your hand up and be passionate about it for me, Tony.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm
going to hang on, Tony. I'm now going to accept your challenge, and I'll just read out the score range for you because it's 75, 73, 68, 68. So take it away.
This guy is sitting down, pondering what he's about to do, and he's probably hopefully, he's saying, you know, I'm going to enjoy the rest of my life with the person I'm about to marry. You know, I've been in this chair 3 times, so I know what he's going through. I think this is a beautiful essay. It's a beautiful documentary of a guy pondering what's about to happen. It's look at the story, look at his surroundings. You know, it's you know, from me it resonates with me, I suppose. But you know, I think it's a great capture. It tells a great story. You know, maybe I was a little overzealous, but you know, I think it's a good professional. It's a great capture. It tells a story. You know, come with me.
Thank you.
Enjoy the ride.
Paul is on 68.
Thank you for highlighting the story for me, Tony. It's great. 3 times is awesome. Just once is enough for me in the image, and I looked and I looked and I looked again. Did the 3 times, and I was really struggling to sort of, I guess, discover that story, or more than just that story. And I want a little bit more from a wedding image. I'd also like the photographer to perhaps consider their exposure choices when they are making perhaps a silhouette, and either go for that, you know, that bright highlight, or go for that shadow, one or the other, or perhaps light it. And of course, I'm not actually seeing any of that in the actual image, and I can't help but see that actual screen image, and I'm seeing more detail in the screen image than I am in the print. So I just want to encourage the photographer to perhaps consider lighting choices along with motives for images.
Thank you. Julie, you're on 75.
Well, I was wondering, Tony, if it's 3 times, whether the balustrade on the veranda there bolting him through the head wouldn't make him think twice. But I actually did look at this and I thought, is that on purpose? Because he actually looks dejected. So was he jilted at the altar, and now he's looking out at this beautiful sea, which is usually calming and very, you know, brings you back to earth, because the room inside has no remnants of a groom, no friends, no family, no one there, and he's just sitting out there with the veranda rail going through his head. So why? Why did the photographer see this? Why did they take this? So maybe at 75 I've been harsh. You know, there's a very different wedding story here, and are we missing it? So perhaps we could relook and...
Thank you. Other judges, nothing else to add. Chris Thomas, quickly.
I was when it spun around, I saw the red, whatever it was, dead center. I thought, oh great, there's going to be something about this this particular object. But I went in and it was a stool or whatever it was. But there was nothing that really added to the story for me. I started looking around the image for something else to get me over the line, storytelling wise, but it wasn't there.
Okay, back to you, Tony.
Look, you know, there is nothing else there because it's all about him, you know. And maybe Julie's right. Maybe maybe she's done a runner, you know, and
so we can't assume that. We're judging the photo as presented, not adding extra information.
Look, there's a story there. We're talking about it. You know, reward the photographer.
Thank you. Tony's score of 82 is locked in. The current average is 73. Judges, having listened to the debate, please rescore now. And the score goes to 76. I'm sure the entrant will find the conversation helpful. Thank you. Next print, please. Thank you. We have an average score of 79. And as the scores are quite close together, there can't be any challenge. So if we could get a comment from maybe Linda.
I think this image has a great deal of potential. I think one thing I feel the photographer may have missed here is the story, the text in the image is clearly from the groom. I'd really love to see the groom. I feel like he's missing from this image, and she's looking over to one side of the frame and he's not there. And I'd really like to see the groom in this image.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Thank you. Another judge is nodding in agreement. Oh, another 3 are nodding in agreement. Okay, so some feedback. Thank you. We're going to keep our judges shuffling around. So if we could have Robin and Mark come and join us, and we're going to have Linda and Chris Thomas have a coffee break. Thank you so much. And next print, please. Thank you. We have a silver award at 82. And a comment, please. Yeah, Robin, that would be lovely. Thank you.
Yeah, look, there's so much to love with this. I would have gone so much higher. Just the figurines, they're almost cartoon-like. They're so over-sharpened. And the lighting, you can sort of, it doesn't quite gel together. So please, do it again for APA. Not quite as sharp, less cartoony. Make it all feel like it is one. And I think you've got an even higher award possibility.
Thank you very much. Next print, please. Thank you. We have an average score of 75. Mark, could you give us a comment for the entrant?
Yes, so I'm on 75, and just the right hand buttocks on the right hand side is just bleeding into the background. There's no detail on that right hand side, and the floor on the left hand side is really distracting. Creative way to show off the front and back of the dress. Applaud the photographer for thinking outside the box.
Thank you very much. Next print, please. Thank you. We have an average score of 79. Robin would like to challenge on 84. You've got a 79, 278, and a 76.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the architectural elements of this image. As a lover of architecture and something that I could sit and enjoy for hours and hours and hours, I love how this has been constructed around the couple. And even the couple, as you come through, are actually quite sculptury in the shape of her dress, which is coming down in this beautiful little triangle, and his black piercing all the way through. I think the photographer's got a really, really unique eye for finding shapes within shapes within shapes, and that's what I really, really enjoyed. Also loved the boldness of the colour palette. It's just this beautiful range of sandy tones all the way through. As a piece of art, I think that's where I was really, really drawn into it. Put aside that it's a wedding photograph, this is something you would put on your wall as a lovely little piece of sculptural and architectural art. That's what I'm seeing, and that's what's exciting me throughout it. And the textures of the bricks are just gorgeous as well. So yeah, I'm in Silver Award. This to me is something unique and different wedding photography, and I think we should be having another look.
We're just going to hear from Mark on 76.
Thank you very much. Okay. Agree with everything that you're saying. Architecturally, it's very pretty. It's a pretty place, pretty location. It's symmetrical. So from a distance, graphically, it's nice. But when I dive into that couple, there's just the lack of connection. There's just I want to feel in love. I want to feel the passion there, and it's so perfectly placed that she's just staring at him. So I put it into professional practice for all those things that you said with the color palette and the style and design. And then it's kind of like, it's just the connection part. So if you can show me more connection, I'm willing to hear.
Thank you. Julie's on 78. A comment to add?
Yep. No, I'm totally with both of you. The architecture is stunning. I love the colours. Absolutely. Got up there. This is the wedding category. Totally let down by the expressions. He looks like he's looking at a lot. What do I do next? There's no connection between them. There's no romance. This is a wedding. Love that setting. But I just wanted that passion, Mark, too.
Thank you. Back to Robin.
I forgot to mention this earlier on. It's actually the expression that I love. It's clinical. The two of them look, so I was explaining her as being quite sculptural, this beautiful sort of triangle coming through. I think entirely their expression is purposeful as sculptural elements within the image. It is clinical, and that's what I love about it. It sort of talks about all those sort of architectural aspects, and they're just another piece of that architecture. If they were lovey-dovey in the middle, it wouldn't suit the starkness and the intensity of the architecture around it. I totally believe that their expressions and their clinical posing of exactly the right spots on their foreheads was done on purpose to suit the image. It's actually one of the things I love about it.
Thank you,
so
Robin.
hopefully you guys can see some perspective there.
Thank you. Robin's score of 84 is locked in. The current average is 79. Judges, please rescore now. Thank you. We have a Silver Award, 81. Thank you. Next print, please. Thank you. By majority, we have a score of 79. Julie would like to challenge. If you do want to challenge, just shoot your hand up and look at me. That's a quicker way to communicate. Thank you, because sometimes the panel just takes a little while to update. So Julie's on 86. You've got an 82, 2 78s and a 76. So let's have a talk.
Yeah, look, we're so close. I think this is well deserved of a silver. It's unique. I haven't seen something like this before. It tells the story so well with very quirky little adits in there. I mean, there's obvious bits to help us with the story, but that's kind of that, I don't know, the look that totally suits this type of wedding, the type of people at the wedding. It's a quirky wedding. It is flat, but then that's how it so well handles all the different lighting situations, from, you know, inside to outside in bright light, back into inside in the dark with a strong sunlit sky behind. You know, there's so many different lighting scenarios in that. Yet when you look at it back from here, nothing juts out. Everything works well. And I really love then how they've also, you know, incorporated into it the cubes of images, but then some images go over the cubes, like the bride up in the second row where she, you know, her vertical portrait covers 2, but then Dad leaning on the groom down the bottom, and the emotions shown in that cover all 4. You know, it's been very well thought out, and I think really great thought into it. It's above professional practice, and I think we should be rewarding it for that. I have given it a silver with distinction. You know, after hearing me, you might go, yeah, it is too, and bring your scores up, but definitely
Thanks,
a silver,
Julie.
please.
We're going to hear from Paul on 76.
Thank you for explaining the flatness. I was like looking for, hoping that would be explained, and I think that's perhaps one way of handling all the different contrast ratios of all the images is to make them flat. But I keep wondering whether there's too much in this construct that we're seeing before us, and that the entire message is being diluted. I think I tend to see this particular layout as an album design, and I think it's a sort of perhaps an image which would lend itself to an entire album layout more so than an actual single frame. And as a single frame, I just get confusion, and I'm concerned with the full page spread, the single full page spread as the father. I know weddings are about other people, but I'd like to see more of the bride and the groom in the actual story. It's their story, along with their families, and I'm just concerned that the family members have got too much of a show in the actual story itself. So if you could perhaps highlight that for me a little bit more, I'd be keen to hear.
Thank you. Let's hear from Tony on 78.
Yeah, look, I'm a little bit like Paul. You know, I think it's a bit busy. I like the concept. I think it's quirky. To me, the pick of the image is Dad leaning on his son crying. That, you know, that to me is the image within the image. Yeah, I scored it at approaching award, but not quite at an award standard. You know, it was just a little bit too busy for me.
Thank you. Mark's on 82.
Yeah, I've got it at silver award into that award range. It reminds me of just like a storyboard and a comic book that you do when you're starting to write a film or write a screenplay or something, and that you have these little parts, little notes that you kind of jut out to highlight the different areas to tell the story, to complete the story as well. So in terms of everything that's been spoken about, I reward it as a silver. I think of it as a storyboard that they're cutting up the day into different bits, more like a comic book without the Shazam and pow and wow. That everything's in there that needs to be there. And if it was just about the bride and groom, you know, the wedding is all about family and stuff. And, you know, that dad is such a character. And I love it that he's just passed out asleep at 11 o'clock. And the little boys, you know, they've stayed for the entire gamut of the wedding day, and they haven't missed a beat. Every story's been told. And I haven't been to the wedding, clearly, but I feel like I'm almost there to see the entire gamut the whole way through.
Thank you. Back to you, Julie.
So I'm asking for 1 point. Let's give it a silver. I agree with many comments made, but also, this couple, perhaps for them, their wedding day was about family. So it certainly tells the story of their involvement with their family and friends in there. There's lots of emotions. There's lots happening. There's lovey-dovey shots of them as well. It is like an album layout, but perhaps if this is potentially a large wall installment for them, they can look at it every day without having to get out the white gloves. So I do think this is a unique presentation, a bit of fun, bit of a giggle, and true to these people. So I think we should be awarding this a silver.
Thank you. Julie's score of 86 is locked in. The current majority score is 79. Judges, please rescore now. And it goes to 82, silver award. Thank you, Tony. You can have a little break. Sarah's going to come and join us. Thank you. Next print, please. Thank you. We have by majority a score of 79. And as your scores are quite close together, that will be its final score. We can have some conversation about it. Sarah, you're on 81.
I really enjoyed the graphical nature of this image, the composition with the staircase winding up, indicating their future together. The birds flying off. What really let it down for me was the expression. I'd love to have it a little more secure in their marriage together rather than quizzical or a tad emotionless.
Lovely. Thank you very much. As we're a state judging, we don't have a review panel. So at a national judging, this would go for review being 79. So the judges are pretty much in agreement that is a fair score for this image. Thank you. Next print, please. Thank you. We have an average score of 76. Could we hear from Paul?
I really enjoyed seeing this image. I love the smile, the expression, the skin tones, all fabulous. A terrific moment, well captured. Will certainly sit well in a wedding album. Unfortunately for me, I was just drawn instantly to the reflection, which is terrific in terms of telling context of the story and perhaps religion context. I just felt it was just a little bit too strong. So perhaps if the author can consider maybe cropping in just a little bit tighter, perhaps remove the line on the left-hand side, just to remove some of the distraction, because the bride is absolutely beautiful and she is glowing.
Thank you very much. Next print, please. Thank you. We have an average score of 77. And Sarah would like to challenge on 82. You've got a 78, 77, 77, 72.
I will challenge. So it's a wedding portrait with a low horizon with a tree. But and I know that's, and I'm thinking that that's what you've seen. For me, I loved the narrative. The bride and groom are there. They're wrapped up in each other, and they're ready to take that photo. It's the typical kind of scene, but I really, really adored the bridal party trudging along in for the next shot, and they're just there kind of as the backup. And so the narrative is what pushed this into Silver Award for me. I think it's a great storytelling and deserves to be a bit more than professional practice.
Thank you. Linda, 72.
So when I was looking back at this image, I walked up, I was really excited to get a closer look at it. And then when I come into the image and look at the detail, the image should be about the bride and groom and the bridal party. And the detail and the thing that's standing out to me the most in this image is the tree. And that's where I'm seeing the clarity and the beautiful tones and the beautiful texture of the tree, but I'm not actually seeing the same level in the people that are in the image, which is why I scored it where I have.
Thank you. Thank you. Mark is on 78.
So I've got 78. I understand the narrative and the story. It's a bride and groom with a big tree, and it's nice lighting, and it's nice clouds. I've got it as a professional practice that we should be doing on a daily basis for shooting at couples. I'm listening a little bit more. I'd love to know a little bit more in terms of the bridal party trudging in on a stormy, cold day. I get the story there, but I'm just, I'm sitting on the fence at kind of 78.
Thank you. Back to you, Sarah.
Thank you. It is really all about the narrative for me. The tree is very sharp and crisp and clear. It kind of, for me, feels a little bit more of a take on, here's your tree for your wedding photo. But the bride and groom, it's still just there with that typical pose. For me, it is all about the bridal party. I think the photographer has brought a lot to it with that narrative of the trudging in of it sounds like we've said trudging a lot now. That it does really highlight how it's all about what the bride and groom want, and they're oblivious to those big stormy skies and the big tree, and it is their day with their backup party.
Thank
Bring
you.
it up to silver, please.
Sarah's score of 82 is locked in. The current average is 77. Judges, please rescore now. Thank you. It does stay at 77, but I'm sure the entrant got lots of feedback. Thank you. Thank you, Linda, for jumping in for Paul. Next print, please. The audience know that at any time a judge can stand back from judging a photo. They do not have to tell us why. They may have seen the photo before. It might be their next door neighbour's photo. Whatever reason, we applaud and thank the judges for standing back. We have lots of lovely spare judges that can jump in at a second's notice, and that's how the system works. Thank you. Thank you. We have an average score of 75. And Robin, we might get you to make a comment, please, for the entrant.
Yeah, absolutely. There is a beautiful moment going on within this couple, but there was something that Tony Hewitt once told me, and that is if you're going to put every single thing you put in the frame, we're going to assume you've put there for a reason. And the foreground is so heavily taken up by those out-of-focus trees, and I'm sitting there going, what is the purpose of those trees? And I think they actually take away from the moment that's there, because there is actually a lovely moment in there.
Okay, thank you very much. Next print, please. Thank you. We have an average score of 85, silver distinction. And you're all looking so excited because you want to talk about it, and now you don't actually have to. We would love a comment. Julie, would you like to do that for us?
Yeah, I just adored this. I think spectacular silhouette, and I just love there is always one trying to take the shine away from the bride, isn't there? And we've got, the bride and groom posing. Everyone else is looking in, but the other bridesmaids go, look at me! And just the placement of the birds flying away. It's absolutely gorgeous. Love it. Well done.
And Paul would like to add something.
I'll just add to all those comments. They're fantastic, absolutely. Just the front wheel of the vehicle, for some reason, my eye kept going to it. It doesn't look quite right, but it's flat, possibly. No, it's just the positioning of it. I'm not sure, but it just made me feel it was just a little bit unusual. But absolutely everything else in the story is amazing. That bridesmaid,
Right, tweaking. All right, thank you for your comments. Next print, please. Thank you. We have an average score of 84. And I'm thinking Mark's going to put his hand up. He is. Mark's on 91. So we're going to have some conversation. We've got an 86, 84, 82. And Julie, you'll be the next to speak on 77.
Okay, so I'm on 91 in the Gold Award. I love it. Every wedding that we go to, we need to do detail shots. And there's only so much you can do with a ring, and only so much you can do with a ring in shoes and a ring in flowers and a ring in this and a ring in that. But this photographer has just absolutely pre-planned and thought out of the box and gone out of the way. I believe, and I'm going with my own story here, that the top, that they photographed the top of the diamond and then just created all the other diamonds around it all. It's the same diamond as what's in the ring, and the ability to be able to photograph it, execute it, pattern it, put it together, print it, and make the circle mat and make it all just so perfectly symmetrical together is what I'm really rewarding the photographer for. I've scored it a 91. It's a detail shot, and it's a detail shot on steroids of going, you know what, I'm not just going to present a ring on a flower or a ring on a box or a ring on a shoe or a tie. I'm going to put it in a way that's a graphic image. And you can have this hanging up in their home as a big 40-inch circle print or something like that. And as a graphic statement piece, it's brilliant. Your turn.
Right. That'll be Julie on 77.
Yeah, I was hoping you'd tell me what the black is that the ring is on and so on. This to me is not unique. I've seen many of these repetition images. So I was a little let down by the central image, which is the main ring. I can enjoy that it's the top of the ring in many, many, many images there. Yeah, I need a bit more as to how it's a gold. I thought it was of high professional practice. Unfortunately, it doesn't have that unique, that foresight, that wow factor for me that makes it so original. But please tell me more, and if someone can fill me in on what it is sitting on, because I'm trying to work that out.
Thank you. We're going to go to Sarah on 86.
I couldn't work that out either, Julie, and I stood up there, and I'm fairly certain it's actually a necklace, the repeated pattern, and I stood there thinking, what is this? And I was really enjoying the graphic nature so much that I decided I don't really care. I don't mind if it's part of a shoe or a necklace or the beading along a handbag, whatever. The nature of it struck me, the way it's been put together, and the quirkiness of the necklace falls in and out of focus. And I think for me, as it moves or turns, it sort of changes focus, and that adds greatly to the difference of it. So I've scored it well in silver with distinction. I'm really comfortable with it there. And I would like to see everyone at least come up to that, and I'm interested to hear Mark's pushing it further into gold.
Thank you. Robin Campbell.
Yeah, look, I really enjoy the mandala kind of feel, the repetition. It's really lovely and easy to look at. I'm on 82 silver, struggling to go any higher than that. I think in my mind, as a piece of art, I'd love to see the sparkle. I'd love to see a brighter, happier image. This is really quite dark, and it's interesting, absolutely, award-worthy, absolutely. But I'm also with Julie in that it's not a new concept. We've seen this done many, many, many times again, perhaps not in wedding. But I am listening, Mark, and I'm definitely in agreement that it is of award standard.
Thank you. Back to you, Mark.
Thank you. So I do believe it's the ring itself, because if it's a necklace, you wouldn't get the black that the ring's actually kind of sitting on. And you can just see all those little sparkly bits, not on the main top of the diamond, but underneath it is the side of the ring on the left and right as well, which gives it the length, which gives it the depth. And I love those 8 little points on the inside of the diamond in the middle that just highlights the ring in the middle, that just draws you in further when you really dive into it. As a concept, we see repetition all the time throughout all different categories, but this is a ring that you had to really pre-plan and pre-construct this. It's not something that you take a photo and then go, I'll make this out of it. The photographers pre-planned it, pre-constructed it, thought about it, and delivered something that is just so well placed together. And the in and out of focus is just, if it was all sharp, it'll just be flat. And I'm not sure how much more sparkly you would like it. There's, 5,000 sparkly diamonds in there. If it was any kind of lighter, it'd be too light and the detail would be lost. Any darker, and it'll be, like you said, a dark image. So I think the balance that the photographer has brought to the table to present us is beautiful. And I'd love to reward it. It's on 84. At least come up to silver distinction. One more point. Bit of a stretch to gold, but silver distinction, one more point.
Thank you. Mark's score of 91 is locked in. The current average is 84. Judges, please rescore now. And it goes to 87, silver with distinction. Thank you. Good conversation, judges. I like that you're using the full score range. Well done. Thank you. Next print, please. Thank you. We have an average score of 71. And could we get a comment for the entrant, Robin? Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, there's a real heart to this image. You know, there's a real story and a real depth and a hurting within the central character. But unfortunately, photographically, it only kind of just sneaks into the professional practice in terms of the print quality and so forth. Keep working on the concept, but also keep an eye on your actual photographic techniques.
Thank you very much. And next print, please. Thank you. And this print scores 71. Paul, can we have a comment from you?
I had an issue with the consistency in the lighting. Lovely, at least we've got a couple that are engaged with each other, which is great to see. But also, the elbow from the bride is sort of quite straight and casting shadows, perhaps where shadows don't need to be casted. So perhaps if the author could consider just asking the bride or groom just to make a few small movements here or there, and perhaps have a think about your consistency with your lighting approach and where the light's coming from.
Lovely. Thank you very much. We're going to have 2 judge changes, Julie and Paul. Thank you. You've been very helpful for the longest time. Linda and Chris Anderson to come back in. Thank you. Take your pick. Wonderful. And can we have a blank screen, please? Thank you very much. So that was the conclusion of the open wedding category. You thought I was just tricking you with a blank screen. I got you all the way up here for a blank screen while she's eating. Yep. Okay, so I just want to read out the preamble. We're now going to go straight into the wedding single capture section. So entrants may use all post-production techniques excluding the addition of new elements to the original capture, including borders and textures. The repetition of the same single capture, either in full or in part, is not permitted. Very high standards of traditional wedding styles should be duly recognised, as should images that reflect the highest level of contemporary market expectations. The judges should also consider the entries in the light of the category. Is the entry a great example of wedding photography? Images that are more interpretive or contemporary in nature may be better entered in illustrative. So we're assuming that all of that has been taken care of, and the images presented here will be judged by you, the judges chosen for this panel. Although the category is judged in 2 sections, we're just splitting them up for your assessment, and there will only be 1 award at the end of the category. So could we have the first print, please? Thank you. I just hadn't changed it over to the next set. Thank you. We have an average score of 78. And could we have a comment, please? Sarah, you're on the average.
I am enjoying the connection between the bride and the groom. The relaxed expression with the bride and the graphic nature again of this image. I think I've actually lost words. I'm looking for something to improve on with this image. Look, the way the dress sits is beautiful. It sits very well in good professional practice, and 78 is actually high professional practice. It just doesn't quite make it there as far as something new, something different we haven't seen before to bring it up into that award standard.
Thank you. Good wrap up. Thank you. Next print, please. Thank you. We have an average score of 77. Linda would like to challenge. Linda's on 82. You're working with 77, 76, 76, 74.
Thank you. This image to me, when it first came around, it struck me straight away, and it was that line going straight down the middle, which usually is something that I don't like, but it really drew me into the image and drew me straight to that beautiful couple. I find that all of the design elements really beautiful. I love the placement of the couple at the bottom. I love the light. I love their expressions. I love the way that they are, engaged together and looking at each other. I'm really enjoying the colour palette. I think it's actually a really beautiful image, and I think, this is that step above professional practice where the photographer has seen this design and seen this place where they may have been photographed or whatever, where they have been married, or photographed in this place. And I look at it and I think they've taken so much to this image, they've actually brought it to that level above standard professional practice. And I'd really like to see them rewarded for doing so.
Thank you. We're going to hear from Robin on 74.
Yeah, I've got this in the average to very good professional practice range, which is where I see it sits quite firmly. A big feature of this image is the architecture. I struggle with the line up the middle. To me, it divides it into two different images, and I don't really understand how that relates to them and their wedding and their special day. I also find the colour palette, everything else is so beautiful and monotone, and you've got this lovely architecture and so forth coming through, and then this sort of pink dresses right there and this yellow light. I just feel if the colour palette was handled somewhat more delicately with some beautiful soft tones through there, and maybe some peaches and something just a little bit more delicate rather than boom, you would get that delicate feel that runs throughout the entire image, being congruent with the bride and groom, and it would take it to the next level. Having said that, I am listening. And I love that you love the line and I hate the line. It's one of those wonderful things about human nature.
Chris on 76.
I'm not a fan of the line. I'll state that now. Both sides of the image need to add something, and I find the left side of the image doesn't really, it doesn't serve a purpose for me. So that was distracting. I agree with the comments about the color palette. I kind of wanted to see it a little bit softer around the bride and groom. Probably the extra information I have is around where those railings are. There's like a little bit of more pattern or kind of file handling that causes it to look a little bit jagged when you look up at the print. And given that's the bit you really want to look at and love, I found that a little distracting.
Thank you. Sarah, want to add something?
Apparently the line is going to divide us. I do. I am the middle. For me, there's a bit of a narrative left to right that it takes people. I mean, I've been lucky that I found love young and have gone through, and had a really happy life. Some people struggle to find a couple, struggle to find a partner, and the left-hand side to me kind of feels like that barren, empty struggle that you get until you get to someone who you want to be with for the rest of your life. the balconies and everything now just dripping down to the couple on the right-hand side really add to that story, and this is where they're at. Unfortunately for me, though, when I get to them, I find them a little bit distorted and a little bit too bright, as others have said. But I wanted to back Linda up with that line and the story of the graphic nature that I feel. I will come up a little bit, but I'd love to hear what Linda has to say.
Thank you. Back to you, Linda.
I have a lot to say of all of that. In relation to the softness, I actually think the lack of softness is what's making this image so striking, because it's such a cold building. It's not an environment that I would feel like it needs to be softness. Not all weddings are softness and flowers and light and everything. Sometimes there's that modern, edgy feel to it, and this is where I feel this is going. The issues that I know Chris had with the railing in front of them, to me, that's the light coming in. The light hitting that wall, which is creating that line in the middle, that's the light coming in. That has just been there in the position and I think the photographer has seen this image, and I'm loving what Sarah said about the narrative as far as, coming out from the dark and they're now in the light because they are together. That's a beautiful story, and I just really feel that all of those elements and what the photographer has brought to this image. To me, the photographer has seen this beautiful graphical design of this image and has went, actually, you know what, there is something here and I'm going to use it. And I really would like to see us come up to silver and reward this photographer for what they have seen.
Thank you so much. Linda's score of 82 is locked in. The current average is 77. Judges, please rescore now. And it goes to 80, silver award. Nice. Now, Robin and Mark, I think you've been on the next longest, and we're going to bring back Chris Thomas and Julie. Thank you. Wherever you would like. Thank you. Next print, please. Thank you. We have an average score of 75. And if we could have a comment, please, from Linda. Thank you.
I think the photographer has done quite well to see this opportunity where this groom has been standing. I think there could be some benefit to having a look at the background and trying to make sure that that is not taking away from the groom himself, and looking at some of the finishing, particularly around the bottom edges of the curtains. I feel like there's some editing work that could be helped there.
Thank you very much. Next print, please. Thank you. We have an average score of 76. And if we could hear from Chris Thomas.
Enjoyed the image. I do like how the bride is connecting with the photographer quite directly there. She's comfortable in her own skin. It's just a nice, relaxed type of moment. Also enjoying the balance of the warm tones with the candles, even if they are a little bit extreme. Overall, very pleasing.
Thank you very much. And could we have a judge change? We're going to have two of you, Tony and Paul, for Chris and who's been on long? Sarah. Thank you. We're just trying to make sure everybody gets a turn. Thank you. Next print, please. Chris, can you just check your score? It hasn't come through to us, please. Thank you. We have an average score of 79. Scores are quite close together, so that will remain its final score. And if we could have a comment, please, from... Oh, Paul's reaching. Thank you. Paul is on 79.
When this image first came around, I was like, wow. My eye was drawn straight in. And unfortunately, I got up to the print, and there was just a lot of detail that just seemed to have just been smudged. And I can't explain how or why, and I don't care to, other than it just took away from the story. But I love the overall mood that's being conveyed in this image, and that warmth right where it needs to be, in these sheep wandering aimlessly in the paddock. I think there's a really high potential image here. It just perhaps just needs a little bit more care taken with its treatment.
Thank you. Chris, you wanted to add something?
I just wanted to congratulate the photographer on a different take on if you're a Queenslander, an extremely well-known location, and for everything you said, I actually enjoyed the fact that you had this beautiful glow, and then everything did actually fade straight off. For this location, the tree is usually celebrated more than the couple, and I just enjoyed this version.
Well done. Thank you. Next print, please. Thank you. We have an average score of 79. So, Tony, we might hear from you. You're on 70. Everyone's quite close together, so it will remain at that score.
Yeah, look, I scored at 78. Good professional practice, not quite award standard. It's an interesting viewpoint. I want to see more of the bride and groom. They're just a bit too small for my liking. Just give me a bit more detail.
Thank you. And next sprint, please. Just while our judges are jogging up to assess the next image. Thank you everyone for joining us here at the Queensland Professional Photography Awards. Epson's the major sponsor of the award, and I see Bruce out in the hallway earlier, so please thank him for supporting us. I hope everyone's got their ticket for the dinner on Monday night. Has everyone got their suit sorted, their frock sorted? Chris, what colour bow tie are you wearing? Bow tie? Not wearing a bow tie? Smart casual? Ah, that's going to ruin it for me. Thank you. We have an average score of 77. Julie, could you give us a comment, please?
Yeah, this turned around and I went, wow, what a stunning location. I absolutely love the colouring in it and the placement of the bride and groom. High professional practice. Award, not quite. And again, just let down a little by the lighting and the treatment of the couple within it. If her chin had just been tilted slightly more, so she was looking into his eyes instead of at his bow tie, the emotion is almost there. Really beautifully done, but just some extra print handling and technique done to it could improve, and maybe they've got another shot taken at this same point with that slight more connection.
Thank you. I actually heard someone from a printing lab say yesterday that we should stop saying print handling. It's apparently handling of the file and processing of the file that generally needs to be readdressed. Yeah, technology's changed, huh? No, that's it. That's okay. It wasn't meant to be like that. It was just kind of conversational. Thank you so much. Next print, please. Thank you. We have an average score of 82, which is Silver Award. And we also have actually an automatic challenge. Linda is 10 points above the average on a score of 92. We've got an interesting score range of 92, 282s and 278s. So we'll expect to hear some great conversation. Linda's going to go first because she has triggered the automatic challenge. And next we will hear from Tony on 78. Then we'll go to Julie. You're on notice. So Linda, you won't get a right of reply. So take it away.
I'm going hard. I think the first thing that drew me into this image when it turned around was the embrace. It was the embrace of the couple, and which is crazy because it's pouring rain. But it was the embrace, and it was that pure emotion of, you know what, this is our day. It's pouring rain, but we are going to make the most of this day, and we are going to make it the day that we are going to remember for the rest of our lives. They are so in love. They don't care whether it's raining. They don't care what anyone else is going through in the background with all of the umbrellas. All they care about are each other. And it's so obvious by the look on their face. And, you know, they're not even technically looking at each other, but the beauty of their joy that they are just showing in this image is just, it just drew me in. And then you see the rain, and then you see everyone else in the background. And the truth of the matter is the joy is actually reflected back on them because everyone is happy. And it's this dreary, wet wedding day that there is just so much light and so much joy in that I just feel the photographer has captured something so beautiful. And I just feel we have got to let this go to gold. They deserve gold for the pure joy that is coming out of this image. Please come up and talk to me about this image.
Thank you very much. And we're going to hear from Tony at the other end of the scale on 78.
Thank you, Linda, for those lovely words. Look, I do like this image. I really do, and I wanted to give it a higher score, and I kept looking at it, and you articulated it very well. There's a lot of great captures there. My issue is my eye keeps getting drawn to the bottom right hand corner of that out of focus shoulder, and to me that just took it away. Now, you know, maybe I was a little harsh on 78, and I'll listen to some other my learned judges, but I don't know whether I could score it gold, but I'm happy to listen to my other judges.
Thank you. And Julie on 82.
I am so glad we got to talk about this because I have way underscored it. Talk about a decisive moment, and that's called depth of field. So we have the shoulder on the right-hand side. But the shoulder on the right-hand side is actually absolutely integral to the image. It frames the next person. The umbrellas frame everyone else. We've got an umbrella high right, high left. I counted another 15 faces in that are out of focus also with the depth of field going further back. And you know, every single expression on that face, like it is a decisive moment. It's candid, yet every other face in this image.
Julie, just into the microphone because it's not recording
excellent.
otherwise. Thank you.
Sorry.
We really want to hear it all.
I was getting excited. Is excellent. You know, you take one of these images and then you look at it and you go, oh, damn, she's got her eyes shut or she's looking away. But no, every single person is engaged and invested in the couple. There's the guy peeking down underneath. Another one, you only see her mouth, but she's smiling. And yeah, it is absolutely brilliant. It is the most decisive moment captured, like 2 seconds later, half a second later, 1/60th of a second later. It may not have been that. So I think we should be rewarding this photographer also for capturing, one, such a joy between the couple. Yes, it's raining. It could potentially ruin anyone else's day, but that couple are so happy. They're so excited. And the crowd are for them as well, even though they're all got umbrellas everywhere. It is just a cacophony of brilliance. Yes, let's give it a gold.
Right. Okay. So it is an automatic. Oh, sorry. Paul would like to say something to add. He's on 82.
Okay, I don't want to talk the print down, but I'm being asked to consider gold. And just on that, I just want to perhaps offer a different take on the situation. And I appreciate the heartfelt sentiment that you've provided, Linda. I immediately, when this image turned around, I was like, wow, we've got a moment. And, you know, we live for these moments. And I got up to the print, and as soon as I got up to the print, I heard my mum in my ear going, oh, he's caught her hair in her hand, and he's pulling her hair. And that's sort of perhaps the wrong reaction that we're looking for in an image. And I guess initially I was just like, oh no, it's supposed to be a happy image, because the people on the other side, each side of the bride and groom, are smiling, they are laughing. But then we have some outside characters who are on the outer, who are giving a smirk, and are perhaps, you know, maybe the sister-in-law or the wicked auntie or something like that. But they're giving the complete opposite communication of that joy and happiness. So I'm getting a mixed communication through joy and perhaps maybe a little bit of a down moment. And of course, it's raining, it's all happening. So I would like to commend the author for creating so many mixed emotions within the one frame. However, I am torn as to whether or not it's a positive or a negative, and I'm still on that fence as to whether I should be right up there.
Okay, Chris, you're the only one that hasn't spoken yet, so let's have it.
For all the decisive moment reasons, it's a beautiful moment in time. I was quite actually happy with my very high professional practice. The only thing that might stop me going into a definite gold category is that, this is very, very simple, is that the top quarter, the top third, where all the forest is, what in the background, basically I personally don't consider necessary at all. If that was cropped a lot tighter, that would have, for myself, given just so much more impact, and that's why I've sat it where it is. But I'm definitely listening, because you.
Okay, so Chris is on 78. So the current average score is 82. Linda triggered an automatic challenge with her score on 92. You have a diverse range of opinions, which is why we invited you all here, for your ability to assess and give a score. So having listened to the debate, you are all able to move your scores as you feel compelled to. The current average is 82. Judges, please rescore now. And it goes to silver with distinction, 88. Thank you. I'm sure the entrant will have enjoyed that discussion. Well done. Next print, please. Thank you. We have an average score of 69. Could we have a comment, please? Thanks, Paul.
Just perhaps if the author would like to maybe consider their position in relation to their subject and their background, the content that's within it, and also perhaps take care of some subtle hues that perhaps are in the dress that may not necessarily need to be there. So consider where the light's coming from before even making the picture.
Thank you. Good comment. Next print, please. Thank you. We have an average score of 75. Julie, a comment from you?
Yeah, this image has a lot of impact with the emotion between mother and bride and a moment caught. Very tricky lighting situation, which I think is what let it down in the end for an award-winning print. But a professional practice of capturing, again, a decisive moment that's as she's entering for perhaps the ceremony. So,
Thank you very much. Next print, please. Thank you. We have an average score of 81, silver award. And Linda would like to challenge it. Linda's on 88. You've got an 84, 83, 77, 75.
Okay. Bit of work. That's all right. We'll give it a go. So when this image first turned around, I could almost feel like I was in the room with the bride, which is crazy because she is this big in an image this big. But you can really see the joy and you can see that fun, and it's, I don't know, 10 or 11 o'clock at night or whatever time it is, and they are partying on and they are enjoying every moment of this wedding well, she is enjoying every moment of this wedding, I should say. And it was, to me, beautifully crafted. It's got lovely tones. But what really made me want to go up to a silver distinction is the fact that the photographer has gone outside the venue, and maybe the photographer was going home, who knows, but he has looked and he has gone through the window and he has completely captured the atmosphere in this wedding, which is a party atmosphere. And I love the fact that he or she has done that, and I love the fact that it has been so well constructed, even to the point with the design elements of the lines of the building coming into the image. I'm really drawn into it, and I actually feel like this is more than a silver. This is actually deserving of a distinction, simply for the fact of what the photographer has actually brought into this image. It's beautifully lit inside. It's to me a gorgeous image, and let's go up. Let's let this photographer be celebrated with this image.
Thank you. We're going to hear from Julie next on 75.
I'm not with you on this one. Yeah, it turned around. It's got a lovely graphical image, and I did enjoy it. I thought it was of high professional practice, but I have not awarded it. Even though the name of the restaurant and the phone number and the website are toned down, I still found them far too distracting. The bride and the girls, yep, they're having a lovely time, but I don't know, it's only her face you see side on. It's a little distorted as she's dancing or whatever. Lovely moment caught of professional practice. I need more to bring it up.
Thanks, Julie. Tony, you're on 83.
Yeah, look, I think it's I think it just gets there as a silver award. I don't know if I could go any higher. I think it's a great capture. I really do. I take your point, Linda, of those lines are beautiful. That she's dancing, and I think you're right. It's probably a moment that the photographer's packed up. He's on his way back home. He's turned around and he's seen this image, and it's a great capture. But I'm happy where my score is.
Thank you. Back to you, Linda.
It's interesting what you say about the name of the restaurant being on the outside of the building, because as a bride, all those little details to me would have been, as a bride, would have been quite important. And that would have been actually, you know what, this is where we are, this is where we had our this is where we had our reception. You know, those sort of elements to me, they're not distracting from the image. It's like that's part of their day. That's where they went to celebrate their marriage. So to me, that's not a distracting element at all. What I really feel needs to be celebrated is that moment that the photographer has captured. It's beyond just a standard silver, simply because of the control that he's had over the situation as well. The lighting inside is really lovely. It's warm. There's warm tones. There's warm activity. They're dancing. They're having fun. I just feel this image deserves to go up, and I'd like to see the photographer celebrated. So,
thank you very much. Linda's score of 88 is locked in. The current average is 81. Judges, please rescore now. And it goes to 83, Silver Award. Thank you. And Julie, you're required to go for lunch because you're in demand. Thank you so much. And Sarah, can we have you back, please? Thank you so much. And next print, please. Thank you. This print scores 77. We're all quite close together. Tony, yeah, a comment will be lovely.
The first thing that I'm drawn to is that highlight on the floor and right in front of the bride and groom, from where from the backlighting of it needs to be toned down a little bit.
Thank you very much. Sarah, did you have something to add? Oh, you're still Julie. That's okay. We know you're Sarah. We'll fix that as soon as this score's gone in. Thank you very much. Next print, please. Thank you. We have an average score of 77. If the judges are all happy with that score, then we will finalise it and get a comment from Chris Thomas.
Great fun image at a wedding day. The angle's interesting, but And I'm quite enjoying the use of the microphone stand as the bar for the game. Also enjoying that it's a slightly flat black and white, but it's sort of. I initially thought, they've taken it out of the 1950s-esque type of era, but it's just a lovely, fun image. Solid, just a very solid professional practice.
Thank you very much. And next print, please. Thank you. We have an average score of 78. And we will finalise that score. Thank you. We're looking for a comment from Linda, please.
This image had a lot of impact when it came around. When I came up to the image, there was a lot of light falling over the groom's face, and that found it very hard to get into the connection between the couple. And I would love to have seen more between them.
Thank you very much. And you'll be pleased to know that that was the end of that category. So all judges except Robin Campbell. Robin Campbell, you're required to go with Gary. And all the other judges, please take a 15-minute break, go to the judging room, make sure you have some lunch, get topped up, and report back here in 15 minutes. So thank you. That concludes the wedding category. See you back here shortly.